Hello, everyone. Again, my name is. I'm with Four Geeks Academy US. We are going to start the our workshop in a few minutes. We're going to wait to see who else joins, and then we'll go from there.
It would be useful too if one of you want to code with me because I will be sharing live coding. It would be useful if you have actually installed VS Code, Python, and Git inside your computer so you can keep track and follow me with the code. If you want to get in touch, I think it's the better solution here.
And Charlie, would you be able to put your repo in the chat as well, just in case people
Yeah,
get
of course,
behind?
of course.
Okay, that would be awesome.
I was pretending to first present and let after that passing you the repository, but you can see it now if you want. Let me
I mean,
share.
whatever works for you, especially if you're not going to if it's going to be more in progress, whatever works best. So we're just going
If
to give it
anyone
another.
can see the repository from now, you can do it, no problem. Their instructions are pretty clear. I think anyone can follow these instructions. These include a README in the traditional way, and also include prompts because maybe we can make a transition to a new era in that we can use LLMs to develop something and using the prompting to do a README. I think it's an interesting way of doing it. So in the instructions that MD that you will find in the repository, you will find pretty clear instructions and a prompt to test in your own ChatGPT. Well, this will be for further information, but if you want to start from now, you can do it. Wow, we're 20 people. Pretty cool.
We are. Yes, we are. So actually, you know what? Because I know the introductions are going to take a moment or so, and I don't want to eat into the time, so I'm going to start with
Okay.
the formalities, as you would say. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to our event. My name is Loretta Thompson, and I am the Partnerships and Community Engagement Manager at Four Geeks US Campus. I see some people here that I recognize and some that I don't. So if this is your first time, welcome. Just a little bit about Four Geeks. We are primarily an online coding boot camp based in Miami, though we do have campuses in Latin America and in Europe. We train on software development, data science, machine learning, and we have 10 locations across 7 different countries. We have one of the benefits, well, actually, we have many benefits of being part of Four Geeks Academy, including this workshop that we are having here today. We do have what's called Geek Pal, where when you are with our coding boot camp, you can sign for one-on-one instruction with our mentors. You have that service for life. We also have what's called Geek Force, where you have that, I guess you could say it's almost like career counseling, but to the nth degree. So these are the folks that will assist you with putting together your LinkedIn, your resume, your technical interviews, practicing for that. And you also have that benefit for life. In terms of, and so I guess unlimited, I guess you could say, but for life. So in terms of our outcome, we've graduated over 4,200 students. We have students that are working in a lot of companies that you may recognize, such as eBay, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and also as well as a slew of places that you may not recognize. So moving along, I'm so excited to introduce our speaker of today. I know you're more than thrilled and excited for today's AI program. We have today Charly Chacon. Did I butcher that? Is that my Midwest Spanish is not that great, but
That's
I'm
cool,
trying.
I think.
I'm trying. So Charly Chacon is a proud native of Venezuela, born in the memorable year of, I'm not going to divulge that information, but it was an amazing year. You'll just have to stay tuned and find out that year yourself. Charly is fortunate to spend his days fulfilling the role of a Python full stack developer for two remarkable companies, 4Geeks Academy and Improvado. In this dynamic world of artificial intelligence, Charly specializes in integrating large language models into applications and pioneering new tools based on the field of natural language processing. For tonight's program, you're going to see how these roles provide Charly with a unique perspective on the intersection of human language and artificial intelligence. This, coupled with his multicultural background, helps him approach AI from a truly global viewpoint. So we're looking forward to sharing insights and thought-provoking discussion at this event. I do ask that, if at all possible, if we could hold off on, if we're going to get into deep conversation, if we could perhaps hold off until the end of the presentation, unless Charly opens up the floor. Of course, in the meantime, you can always feel free to post your questions in the chat. And of course, because you're going to be so inspired by Charly's presentation, do know that yes, 4Geeks, we do have an AI curriculum. Please feel free to go to our website if you're interested in learning full stack software development or AI. I will also put this link in the chat as well. So take it away, Charly.
Okay, first, welcome everybody. My name is Charly Chacon. It is the correct pronunciation, but completely cool how Loretta says. Okay, first, I would like if you can get in touch with me and maybe you can speak, maybe you can ask something that will be completely great. You're welcome to do that. Okay, first, we need to talk about AI. AI, it's a very giant field in this moment. Everyone is passionate about what AI is doing with our lives in our current world. This is like one of the main topics everybody is talking about, and that is related to the market too. Every day I can see how the job offers related to artificial intelligence are increasingly high level. So maybe we can think working with artificial intelligence it's pretty difficult or something like that. But you will discover today that it is not completely difficult if you have a pretty understanding of Python. We will use Python today to develop a small application that answers questions about us using LangChain, that is one powerful library for building LLM applications on top of these models of OpenAI and different providers. As you know, ChatGPT is revolutionizing our world, and we can use ChatGPT for our own applications. We can use that powerful model for build an entire application based in our use case. For example, you can build such things like real-time translators. Maybe you can develop an app to use natural language to query a database. Maybe you can build an application to review something, to extract the sentiment of the user experience. You can develop a lot of things using natural language processing models. So we will to talk a little about what is this, what is artificial intelligence, what is LangChain, what is OpenAI, how ChatGPT works, and we will do a simple template for our chatbot. Okay, I will present my screen now. Okay, I think you can see me. I will share the link too if you want to see the link directly. Feel free. Here you can see the link if you want. Tell me if you have any problem to see it. I can solve it. And first, this presentation was done completely with artificial intelligence. Yes, because I think we need to use it in our world. Let me, I want this. Perfect, full screen. Okay. So the AI, artificial intelligence, are two words, but many of you maybe don't understand. Even I didn't understand it at the first time. But now you will understand what is artificial intelligence. How is this related to ChatGPT? It is maybe an obvious question, but it's not as simple. First, this will be the topics we will cover. I will cover in this presentation. What is intelligence? What is artificial intelligence? How a neural network works? What is a natural language processing? What are the large language models? What are these words? What is the meaning of this? Okay, first, let's read this presentation about intelligence. Intelligence is the ability of an organism to understand, learn, and interact with its environment. It involves multiple aspects such as learning, problem solving, reasoning, and perception. It is not just about knowledge, but also the ability to use it for better results. There are various types of intelligence, such as emotional, logical, and spatial. Okay, this is maybe a question that is a little tricky because intelligence has a lot of meanings. You can find different such of meanings of intelligence, and it is difficult to explain it because we won't understand completely how the intelligence work. We have measurements to measure the intelligence, but maybe they are some kind of related to logical issues or maybe spatial reasoning and something like that. So intelligence is a very big concept that we can't define in a single line. It is not like a maybe an static thing. It can change with the society. With the pass of time, we are redefining this concept of intelligence to find the best concept that fits the most of our use cases. So continue with the next topic. What is artificial intelligence? Because if we don't know what is intelligence, how can we define the artificial intelligence? So let's read a little about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a simulation of human intelligence created in machines. It can be divided into two categories: narrow AI, task-specific, and general AI, able to understand, learn, adapt, and implement knowledge. Artificial intelligence is achieved through machine learning models, which are trained to predict outcomes or make decisions based on input data. And this is so important. Artificial intelligence is not like the actual intelligence of humans. It's not the same. Artificial intelligence will be more related to solve a problem in the efficient way a machine can do it. For example, make a lot of difficult calculations to understand the problem we are given to the machine learning model and solve it without needing to think. It just takes an input and gives an output based on a training. Okay, artificial intelligence, it's not like our intelligence. It's not about reasoning. It's not about spatial related. It's more like give a problem and a solution to that problem based on a training. It doesn't can think. The artificial intelligence can be creative. That's a pretty important difference between artificial intelligence and our intelligence. Okay, the next topic, how a neuronal network works and what is a neuronal network. Okay, first we need to think in our kind of intelligence, how we think. I will explain you a little how we think. For example, when you are trying to learn a new language, your neurons connect with other neurons to maybe relate some words you already know or some concepts. For example, the concept of salute, of welcome, the concept of good night, the concept of things. Our neurons are relating that new words that we are learning to our previous language or to our basic concepts in our brain. Basically, the intelligence, our way of learning, is connecting neurons one to another neuron. And the neurons, with the pass of time, they are evolving and finding the best route to understand a problem. That's why when you are trying to learn something, at the first time, it will be pretty difficult. For example, you don't understand many of the words of that language, you don't understand how to build a phrase, but with the pass of time, you will see like everything is going easier. You don't need even to translate now. You don't even need to read some documentation. You don't need to build instructions. You just get the tool or make whatever you want to do, and you do the best because you learn. Your neurons connect each other to find the shortest and best route to solve a problem. Basically, our neurons are connecting each other. That's all. That's how our intelligence, how our brain works. That is called synapses. You can find more in Google or Wikipedia or asking ChatGPT, and you will get in touch with the field. But what is a neuronal network? Okay, a neuronal network is a type of machine learning model designed to imitate the human brain's function. It consists of interconnected layers of neurons which take in, process, and pass on data. Through backpropagation and gradient descent, the network adjusts its weights and biases to better learn from data and reduce errors in predictions. Basically, a neuronal network is something similar to our real neurons. It's basically like points in a map, and each of these points represents a function with inputs and outputs. Based on the input and the output, the next neuron will be connected. This is a very big process until we get a result. That is the last layer, the last neuron. We have basically a starting neuron, the entrance to our big connected neuronal network, and the final neuron that will be our result. Basically, is something like that. And the neuronal networks are it is not a new field. It has much years of development until we get our current result that is completely awesome because we have models pretty powerful with these neuronal networks. You can see artificial intelligence, for example, when you see some image scanner that can say if something is a cat or something is a dog or is a person, or if there is a weapon in a picture, some kind of things can be done with artificial intelligence, with neuronal networks, and there is a very big topic. But what is a neural language processing? Well, we talk about neuronal networks in a general way, but it has many small fields with more concepts. For example, the natural language processing. As it sounds, basically, natural language processing is understand what a human wants to say. Okay, it's basically understand a language, a human language. For example, Spanish, English, Russian, or any kind of language. But not just understanding a single language. We can understand with natural language processing structures and maybe how these words are connected each other. For example, our current natural language processing models can understand programming language, such as Python, such as JavaScript. So it's not just a language, it's more like the structure of a language, okay? Well, let me read this. Natural language processing is a subfield of artificial intelligence that focuses on the interaction between computers and humans via natural language. Its purpose is to enable computers to understand, interpret, and generate human language. It uses machine learning and deep learning with large amounts of data to recognize patterns and understand language. And that is basically, my friends, how ChatGPT works. ChatGPT is a very, very big model with millions of neurons processing natural language. It's not just like that because we also have another layer called transformers that decide which would be the best answer based in a user input. In this case, which should be the next word based in a text. For example, if you ask ChatGPT what is the capital of France, maybe it can answer you with a list of uh, capital of different countries because it can be found in a web page. For example, ChatGPT was trained with a very, very big amount of data from websites, books, and a lot of things. And ChatGPT can some kind of understand what we want to say because he can extract the information about our text and build another text that maybe can solve our problem. How it can do it? It can do it because it was trained to do that. They don't just train the model with a big amount of data. They also uh, make another process of training the model that is called reinforcement by humans, basically. The humans uh, ask questions to ChatGPT and tells if the answer was good or bad. And based on that simple training, ChatGPT can knows when an answer will be better or worst, and how is this works. Okay, what are large language models? Okay, under the field of natural language processing, we have the large language models. Basically, large language models such as GPT 3.5 Turbo and GPT 4 are deep learning models trained on vast amount of text data. They are used to predict the next word in a sentence and learn grammar, facts, reasoning, and creativity. They can generate coherent response in conversations or write essays, poems, and code, but don't experience the world like humans. They use racist questions of ethics and fairness, and they may be reflected and amplified biases on their training data. So the large language models can develop things by itself. So this is the main difference between our current intelligence, the human intelligence, but they can make a lot of things with text. They can extract something in the text. They can understand the context of the text and some kind of things. Okay, let's begin with another thing. Now we need to get in touch with these things. If you have the link, just open this GitHub template, press click, and you will find here a template. In this template, I add a small project to a chatbot, to a real chatbot using LangChain. Okay, you just need to press this code and press here copy. If you don't have experience working with Python or do you have experience working with Git, no problem. This is super easy to understand and you will see how easy it can be so you can develop your own chat model from today. Just come here. I will pass you again the link. Anyone want to see it? Okay, here you can download this code if you want. Just press the copy button, go to VS Code. You need to have VS Code inside your computer. Also, you need to have Python. I will open a new directory here. And what you should do, if you feel comfortable with the command line, I really suggest you working with the command line because it is easier. Just place in any folder that you want and follow me. Just first, mkdir. Mkdir creates a new directory in our current directory. In this case, I will call it chatbot workshop, something like that. Okay, now you press cd and chatbot workshop, the same folder you just created. And you paste the command code dot enter, and there is a new folder. Control J, you can open your terminal, or you can find with F1, search for terminal, and you just need to press here, and that's all. Okay, now we are here in our folder, our working folder. We will write git clone, press the paste our template, and give a space and press a point. This will be clone all the project structure in our current directory. Perfect. Now you just need to go to the readme instructions, git clone, enter. We already done this. Now you need to open this file, code instruction.md. Code opens a file, instruction.md. Okay, perfect. Now you can see our instructions. You will follow these instructions to successfully create a chatbot that answers questions about you. Okay, first, welcome to your personal chatbot. First, we need to know which technologies we will use. In first place, we will work with LangChain, maybe the most important framework to work with LLMs in the present. Imagine LangChain like a kind of what React is for front-end development, LangChain is for working with LLMs. It's something like that. First, we need to create a new environment to work with Python. Py, just follow this command, run. Now you have a new environment. Maybe you will be prompted with a window like this. If you don't see that, no problem. You just need to follow the instructions. If you don't see that, like my case, you just need to continue to the next step. We need to activate our virtual environment with Python. We can do that with different commands depending on our operating system. In this case, I use Windows, but we need to know which is exactly command to use. So I prepared for you a prompt. You can just you can just copy this prompt, go to ChatGPT, and we can start working. My operating system is Windows. And that's all. You copy the code and you open a terminal of Windows in this case. Press the command, press enter, and that's all. You have your environment activated using a prompt. That was maybe not your first prompt. If you're here, maybe you use, like me, ChatGPT every day in your work because it can be useful to have a source of information directly in a chatbot application. It's pretty useful. Okay, now that we are in our environment, we need another thing. We need to, well, let me activate it here. It appears that it won't activate it. I have two command lines. I have a command line of Linux that is git bash, and I have PowerShell. I prefer to use PowerShell. Perfect, it is activated. Okay, if everything is correct and you can see a BMV symbol here, the word appears in your terminal, you are correct. You can follow the instructions. Install the requirements. To install the requirements, we just need to copy this command, paste, and press enter. Okay, it's installing all the necessary libraries. Wait a second. Okay. We just need to wait while it is installing. Okay, it appears that that's all. Now you need to copy the environment file. This environment example, this file of here, contains the necessary environment variables you will need to run this template. In this case, we just need an OpenAI API key, but I will provide you with my OpenAI key. After this workshop, I will delete it, so no problem. Let me give you. I have here, I think I have it in my clipboard, maybe. Yeah, here it is. Okay, perfect. I will pass you the OpenAI API key in the chat of the meeting if you want to use it. Okay, it is. Just copy paste that OpenAI API key here. Perfect. Oh, let me delete this. Perfect. Okay, and now continuing with the instructions, just run this command. Oh, I forgot something. I forgot to copy the environment file. I didn't run this command. Okay. Copy command that the file we want to copy and the new file. Okay, here is the MB. Perfect. Perfect. Works. Okay. Now, continuing with instructions, just run this command, python main.py. Python. Perfect. Enter your question. I will ask, what is your name? Okay, my name is Charlie. How can I assist you today? Cool, but how this works? Now I will show you the code I used to build this sample template. This is super easy. It is less than 100 lines of code. First, I let you a lot of commands here, so you can use these commands to follow the instructions, how it works, and you can successfully understand. Basically, we're using LangChain. LangChain, like I mentioned before, is a powerful library to work with LLMs based in OpenAI or maybe Llama or another LLM providers. You can check the LangChain documentation. Let me pass you that documentation too. LangChain here. Here is. You can use the documentation if you want. This is so good. In the documentation, you will find information about how to build these kind of models. You can check how is built LangChain, how many projects you can do with LangChain, the installation, instructions, kickstart, for example. You can see many kind of pre-built functions that we have in LangChain. For example, we have the concept of memory. Maybe a problem with the LLM models is that the LLM models doesn't have memory. We need to pass that memory manually. And LangChain provides us with different kind of memory we can use to our chatbot. In this case, let me show what I used to build this super simple chatbot. First, I explain you briefly what I'm using in this template. In this case, I'm just using LangChain and different classes in the LangChain, and the 10th to load the environment variables. After that, I have a function called chat model example that will run our program. First, I declare a chat. What is a chat? Basically, a chat will be oh, let me close this message. Okay, perfect. Okay, basically, a chat will be our agent, will be the artificial intelligence that will answer our questions. In this case, we need to get in touch with another concept, the concept of prompt. The chat will use a prompt to understand its environment, what we want it to do. That is the prompt. this case, I have this template here that you can see. You can read the comments if you want. This is a string set up a system message template, which is used to provide context to the AI model. The placeholders, your name and information about you, will be replaced with the actual values provided later. You need to watch this template more. Okay, perfect. Look, you are your name. This is a small brief of you. In every user question, provide a helpful and kind answer. That's all the prompt we are using in this model. How it works? Basically, we have a string that has these variables. You can declare a variable inside this template using the syntax. After that, you can use this function of here, system message prompt template, that prompt template, and you can pass the string template you have, and it will create a system message prompt instance. Basically, this instance have different information about who is making this message, because a chat model basically works with messages. In this case, ChatGPT has a system message that says maybe you're a helpful assistant, help the user to the requirements. This could be the system message of ChatGPT. In our model, our system message is this. You are a person. In this case, this is a small brief of you. In every user question, provide a helpful and kind answer. So the system message is maybe the most important message in a conversation with a chat model. When we are using a chat model, the prompt template is super important. Depending of your prompt template, you can reach a goal or another. In this case, I want the LLM to act as me, to answer questions about me. You can see it, an example of this in my portfolio. Let me share my screen a moment. I know I am not maybe a good front-end developer. I think it's enough, but let me maybe add my problem. Okay,
It
perfect.
looks great. It looks great.
Yeah, but it is still in development, my portfolio, because I don't have a lot of time in this moment. I am working with maybe 3 different projects, one for Improbato, one for Geeks. Well, I don't have a lot of time for my project, but you can ask something about me. Tell me what is your main stack, for example, and maybe it will answer with a correct answer. My main stack includes Python, JavaScript, perfect. What is your name? My name is Charlie. Perfect. So you can build this kind of bot, for example, just using a template. There are many different approaches because you can, for example, load a model with a bunch of data about you, documents about your company, maybe add information about your database, maybe add that such things, and you can reach a goal or another. In this case, this is a super simple chatbot that just works with a template and with a prompt. But you will see that working with LLMs maybe involve working with prompts. You have a prompt to solve a problem. I understand the prompts like a function. I think that a prompt would be more like a function that gets something and returns something different. It works with that input to return a proper output. That is how a prompt template needs to work. You need to reach a goal, you need to get some kind of information. So there are different kind of ways to work with prompts. We will continue reading about the present code, and later we will make further modifications to reach a different goal. Okay, after the prompt, we already have our system message. I think you now understand what a system message is, how it works. If you have a question, please let me know in the comments. I will be careful of answer with the proper answer your questions. Okay. After that, we can have another template. In this case, a human template. The human template also can have a variable. The variable will be a message. For example, we want to load in the current conversation. Basically, this function, this code, will be take the system message prompt and the human template to build a kind of conversation. And the model will need to, to follow the conversation with a system message and with a human message. After that, we can get an AI message, basically, an assistant message. Okay, in this case, the human example will just be loaded with a variable, questions about you in this case. And the chat prompt will be the entire prompt using our message and the human message, the system message, the human message. And if we want, for example, we can add another human message, another assistant message. We will be see soon. And we can start this application with the chain. An LLM chain. What is an LLM chain? Please go to the LangChain documentation and read a little about these chains. Okay, maybe we can read a little about how a chain works. Using an LLM in isolation is fine for simple applications, but more complex applications require chaining LLMs, either with each other or with other components. LangChain provides the chain interface to explained applications. We define chains very generically as a sequence of call to components, which can include other chains. The base interface is simple. This is the base model. This is the base chain. Basically, a chain takes different prompts, takes different LLMs to reach a goal, to have an answer about that. In this case, I instantiate the LLM chain class and I get a chain instance. This chain is loaded with an LLM, in this case the chat we define first here. This chat will be using, as you can see here in the definition, it will be using the GPT 3.5 Turbo. It means it will be using the same model as ChatGPT. Basically, you have here your own ChatGPT that can make everything you want, basically. Okay, and this LLM is the ChatGPT basically, and the prompt will be the chat prompt we already load. In this case, I loaded with this prompt of here and this prompt of here, okay? And after that, we can initialize the variables. But for example, in this case, I initialize with my name and a small brief about me. But we can change it. Maybe I can change my mind. Maybe I am another person in this moment. For example, Loretta. And maybe Loretta, can you provide me a brief about you? Maybe you can write it. A small brief
Sure.
about you.
Sure. I will put down that I enjoy front end, front end
Okay.
design.
IJ front end design.
Yes.
Maybe something else.
And
And
bootstrap.
talk.
And
Okay.
yes, and
Talk
I
and
what I
meeting
what
with
I
pretty cool people
yes, that's even better.
and a lot of bootstrap.
Yes.
Maybe. Okay. A start interactive session. In this case, I use a simple Python function to run an interactive environment. In this case, well, true. It will be fails just if I stop my applications. We will receive an input of the user, and that's all. We can use the kit phrase to stop our session. And when we press the button enter and we put our questions, the model will run this method. The LLM chain class have a method called run. The run method basically runs our chat template with our variables. In this case, the variable will be Loretta, the information about Loretta, and the question. In this case, the question will be the input questions that we are printing in the terminal. So let's run again the Python main.py. Let me ask maybe, what do you love? As Loretta, I love front-end design and creating visually appealing websites. I also enjoy collaborating with other professionals in the industry and learning from their experiences. As you can
Oh my
see, our
goodness.
model is now Loretta. It changed its personality because we changed the input variables. You can use it for your use case, for example, and you can build a chatbot that answers questions about you. This is a super easy and super maybe higher level application. Maybe it could be useful for use cases when you want a question answering applications, but we can even change this. Maybe we don't want just to be a person. Maybe we want to extract something of a text, for example. Let me change this prompt now. You are now it will be another thing. I will change the template. I will just add here another template, template 2, template summarize, for example. Okay. And let me create another prompt. I think someone is speaking. Do you want to say something? Oh, maybe not. Okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
maybe they have their microphone on. Just as a reminder to everyone, please put yourselves on mute, unless, of course, if you have a question.
Okay, and you are completely welcome to ask everything you want. Maybe you want to see something in action, you just can tell me and we can research how to do it. Perfect. Another template, maybe another prompt. Now the model will be another kind of things. For example, we can tell the model to be, what can be? It will be the president of the United States. Okay. You are the president of the United States. User will ask you, no, your staff, your staff will ask you for a decision you need to solve. Please answer your staff question with a professional and accurate answer.
That's
Okay,
a very hot.
perfect.
That's a very hot button.
Maybe.
I was already impressed about my answer. That wow, that answered that question better than I would have. But this, I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out.
Let's see what happens, okay? Okay, this will be the template. As you can see, we don't have variables. Maybe we can add a variable. Your name is uh, 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 maybe uh, a president that don't exist name. I prefer to call my variables always in a pretty understandable way because I think it's the best way to work with code. You need to have pretty understandable variables and anyone will understand your code. Okay, I need to use this template. So I copy this template here. Let me, yeah, perfect. This will using this template, human template, the staff question is, and change this. Okay, no problem. We'll delete this line. Tough question. Okay, perfect. And it is already loaded. Perfect. Now the variables. In this case, we will use these variables. I will use another variables. For example, the president name. This president will be called maybe Jack, something like that. And the staff question. It will be, how can we improve the economics of our country? Pretty general questions. Oh no, maybe how can we improve the medical system? Perfect. Let's see what an artificial intelligence can say about this. Okay, now the question. Well, this will be the staff question this time. Perfect. Okay, the president name will be just. Okay, I will change. Now you need to change this because keep in mind when we use the prompt template, it takes out variables and makes it accessible to our LLM chain. So I need to change this here too. This will be the staff question, president named, and the staff question. I think that's all. Staff question, president name, staff question, president name. Perfect. Perfect. Let's run the program again. Please enter your question. How can we improve the medical system? Okay, an error. A president that doesn't exist. I forget to call the variable in the code. Okay, now it will work. Okay, how can we improve medical system? Let's wait. Okay, a lot of things. Thank you for bringing up this important issue. Improving the medical system is a complex challenge that requires a multiple facet approach. It is some potential solutions that we can consider. Increase funding for medical research, for investing, and a lot of things maybe we can't apply. And as you can see, this is just with prompts. We can use these prompts to build different kind of applications, not just question answering application. Maybe we can use it for different approaches. For example, extracting, summarizing, maybe translating. For example, let's make a translator in this moment. Now we don't want the president, we want a translator that will be translates from Spanish to English, or maybe from English to Russian, or whatever language we want. Okay, I will copy this and I will call it template translator. Okay, we need the prompt now, and I expect you are seeing what is the power of the prompts. You are a powerful machine that translates from, and I will add a variable here, input language to output language. Please translate user input correctly and don't provide any comments. Because sometimes the LLMs used to provide comments and sometimes we don't want the comments. Okay, in this case we have two variables. Okay, we will use the variables order. I will search the system message prompt with another. I don't even need to if commented. Okay, the template translator, the human template will be just input, just a phrase to translate. Perfect. We'll copy this, and copy this. Perfect. Okay, the human message prompt, it builds the messages history, and we need to add variables. In this case, I will command this and I will add the correct variables. We need an input language. Let me add it here. Input language. Maybe which language? We will use English. Because we all talk English. And the output language. I will let you decide, Lorena. What language do you want to learn today?
Well, as evident by my horrible accent, just so it's a checks and balances, I would think that maybe we could do it Spanish. Because
Spanish,
then we can,
perfect.
yes, because then we can verify that it's translated.
Perfect. Spanish. Okay, this powerful model will be translating from English to Spanish based in a question, based in a phrase that we are providing. Look how it works. Okay, we instantiate the chain class, we add the variables, we add the staff question. This won't be the staff question anymore. Now will be the phrase to translate. Perfect. Phrase. And response, the folder the chain. We need the variables, the input language, where I can use it here, input language, output language, and that kind of things. The change again. I want now the input language, the output language, and a phrase to translate, output language, input language, and phrase to translate. Perfect. If everything is correct, this will translate from English to Spanish as we defined in the prompt. Let's check again. We run the application. Please enter your phrase. Okay. What do you want to learn in Spanish, Lorena?
Let's see. Well, I don't know. Maybe this will be too complicated. I would say, how can I make the perfect, a perfect café con leche?
Okay, how to make? Oh well, this won't answer your question. This will just translate in your question.
Oh, okay. So then I would just.
But I think that's a good idea, and I think we can change our prompt to to make a question in English and answer the question in Spanish. We can use our current prompt to develop some kind of model. For example, you're a powerful machine that answers questions from English to in English to Spanish. If you need to provide a proper answer, but using the output language. Perfect. Let's check again. Okay. And now the question is how to make a good café con leche.
Yes.
How to make a good café. Oh, sorry. To make a good café con leche. Para hacer un buen café con leche, primero debes preparar un café fuerte y luego calentar la leche en una olla a fuego medio, hasta que esté caliente pero no hirviendo. Luego, vierte la leche caliente en una olla, vierte la leche caliente en I see, creo que falta una palabra. I think word is missing here. And one
Mm.
café y agregar azúcar al gusto. Disfruta de tu delicioso café con leche. That's all. Now we build a different kind of model. It's not just a translator. It answers questions in a preferred language. I can even change this. I can say, for example, I don't want Spanish, I want Japanese. Japan, Japanese, and maybe I don't know if this works with Japanese, but test
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
How to make sushi?
Mm. Okay, thinking. Okay, we Oh
got
my
it.
goodness. Oh
Powerful
my goodness.
translator now to Japanese. So, as you can see, you can build different kind of prompts to solve different kind of questions to apply it in different kind of applications. If you check the documentation of LangChain, you will see that there is everything. There is a lot of things already built for you. You can, for example, extract information from a database. You can add a memory layer. You can answer questions about documents. So you can answer questions about a web, for example. You
Oh,
can,
and Charlie, you do have a question in the chat. Can you train this to speak the answer
okay,
out loud, or can you program it to speak the
can you
answer
turn
out
this?
loud?
You train this to say out loud. You want, for example, to speak, right? You want this model to speak. Yes, it is possible. I already been trying to making this model to speak. Let me see if I have this project here. Charlytoc. This is a chatbot CLI template, chatbot workshop, chatbot CLI template, I think. That not is not because I was testing with different templates to give you the best result. Chatbot workshop maybe. Okay, let me see. Okay, this is where I am. Okay, it is maybe workshop prompting engineer. This is perfect. Oh, that. Okay, I think this model speaks. Let me see. Let me run this a little. Let me sure we are in the correct environment. Source, BNB, scripts activate. Perfect. Let me clear the terminal and run Python main voice recognition.py. Calibrating. Perfect. Okay, go. Uh, how are you feeling today? Recognizing. Okay. No, the problem is I have a problem with the. I don't know if you're hearing what the agent is saying.
I
Maybe
think I heard
not, but
something. Yeah, it's something very faint. Maybe it's
yeah, it says this phrase, but the problem is maybe the sound is not cool. Let me see if I can use the audio of my cell phone. Maybe post this near to the computer. hmm Speakers, perfect. Okay, and I will. Oh, let me. I need to together with my in the screen in the meeting with my microphone of the cell phone. Give me a second. Okay, browser. Okay, So now you can hear me twice. Okay, now you can hear through my microphone. Let me run the function again. How are you feeling today? Oh, the output is still by my.
Looks like you encountered some error messages.
Oh, a lot of noise. A lot of noise is the problem. I want you to hear the agent. Oh, okay.
Charlie, are you muted or is that just me on my side?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I
I
thought
yeah,
you will
I was
hear me. I was talking alone.
yeah, I
Okay.
wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were doing something to make the audio to come through.
Okay, sorry. Let me
No
repeat,
worries.
no problem.
Yeah, I think I lost you when you got to prank
Okay.
GBT, which
Sorry,
I didn't
sorry.
realize was a thing either. So, so yes.
Sorry, it was a mistake. I forgot to turn on the microphone. Okay.
No worries.
Okay, I was talking about you can use different providers of LLMs that I already apply speech to text or text to speech uh, uh, flow. For example, you can use deep RAM. Deep RAMs have a different kind of models you can use to talk with an agent. It will take an input of voice of an user, for example, and will provide as output a text with the correct user mm, phrases, with the correct user sentences. This is a powerful models you can use, deep RAM, and you can test it with Prime GPT. I didn't test it still because Prime GPT works just for United States at this moment, but you can call someone and make a maybe a prank to someone using a prompt. You can then, for example, uh, act as a police member, and you can maybe explain something you want to instruct the model to talk with the user you want to call, you want to prank, or maybe you can test it with you. And you can see we can already talk with models using natural language processing, but this is different. Asking your question, Don, you can train a model to speak, but it is not the best solution when working with natural language processing models, because natural language processing models do that, just process natural language. There are different models that make different uh, things. For example, there are models that uses voices messages to translate it to text messages. That is called audio recognizing or speech to text. You can find a different model to that. So then are you able to embed this into your webpage? Yeah, of course. You can embed this into your webpage. For example, if you want to embed a model that talks with you in a webpage, I think I have here a model of another partner for geeks. Let me show you. Let's see if it's up. Maybe not. I think not. No, this is not working. But yeah, you can embed this in your page. I suggest you to use DeepRAM or Vocode. Search for Vocode. There are different approaches, but this is the more easy way to embed a model that can speak with a user using another library that is already built. Use Vocode, or maybe you can use DeepRAM and build your R logic. But if you want to do it in the easiest way, you can use Vocode. Also, if you research in the LangChain documentation, you will find different use cases. And you have here chatbots voice assistant. This voice assistant doesn't work with both code. It uses different approaches as I showed you before, but I still development an assistant with this use case of here using speech recognition and this library of Python that basically are doing the same as both code, but with a lower power because vocode is integrating DeepRAM. And if you find some example with DeepRAM, you will find that the DeepRAM models are pretty similar to the reality. You can even know if you are talking with a machine or if you're talking with a human. It's something so mind-blowing, so exciting that you can do these kind of things at this stage of the artificial intelligence using different models. A model to translate this user input as voice to text, and after that, the text responds from the model to voice using another model. Basically, you can integrate two different artificial intelligence models, a model for natural language processing and another model for speech recognition using, as I mentioned, deep RAM or different providers of voices for artificial intelligence. So answering your question, yeah, of course, you can embed a model like this in your web page. It, it is not completely difficult. And if you want to do it and maybe you are lost, you can ask me for further information in LinkedIn. Let me pass you my feed here. If any of you have a question, maybe you want to train, maybe you want to build an application using LLMs, using OpenAI, using LangChain, and if you have a question, feel free to reach me out on LinkedIn and ask me whatever you want. So I think that's all for today. You understand maybe using this template how to build a simple chatbot for different use cases. Maybe you want to learn something new. Maybe you want to summarize text. Maybe you want to extract information about some text and you want to use it in application. You can do it with this template. Just keep in mind to read the comments to understand how it works and follow the instructions here, and you will successfully test it in your terminal. After that, if you want to apply this maybe in another environment, you can use a framework like Django to run this in a server and deploy it in render. There is a lot of things involved in developing an application, a web page. But if you want to do something related to artificial intelligence and with LLMs and natural language processing, I really suggest you working with LangChain. Please reach the documentation of LangChain. I ensure you that you will learn a lot of things with LangChain, and it is the recent and maybe the most powerful library at this stage of the artificial intelligence to work with LLM providers. You can work with GPT 3.5, or even you can work with GPT 4 if you want, or even you can work with GPT 4 32K that takes a very, very big amount of text to answer or to manage your application. So it would be useful for you if you reach this documentation. I will pass you again the link and you can learn. After that, if you want to learn a lot of things about machine learning, that there is a lot of fields we need to cover. It is just a small workshop to make you understand how you can build your art chatbot, but you can learn more maybe in our courses. I know that for Geeks will be launch different courses about machine learning. Maybe Loretta has more information about this. But well, that's all. If you have any question, feel free to write it in the comments and I will try to answer my best.
Thank you so much, Charlie. I am going to post that link into the chat, but I'm glad that you did address that last portion because, you know, with all of the conversation about ChatGPT and of course, you know, there is some type of controversy sometimes about artificial intelligence. I guess that's the thing of like, which one is the right version that you should be using? Like, you know, how do you know that the version of the chat bot that you're using is one that is, especially if you're going to, for example, if I'm going to attach a chat bot to my portfolio, I want to make sure that it's professional and it's not like a prank one, you know, because that could be a potential employer trying to reach out to me, right? So what advice do you say if, you know, I want to make sure that I'm getting a chatbot that's not going to, you know, have bad repercussions? Like, how do you pick the right chatbot, I guess you could say?
First, I really suggest you making a good prompt. If you make a good prompt, with instructions of how to reach the goal you want with a prompt, with a chatbot, you can avoid many difficulties of developing a chatbot. For example, I can introduce a bad phrase, for example, make the user feel bad, and the model won't work in a proper way. But you can, in another case, tell, uh, try to be kind, try to be professional, sound like a good work, maybe sound like a boss, maybe you need to uh, keep your your personality, your character, and you can act like a president, or you can act like me, you can act like something. Try to use the correct words. Try to tell the model what to do exactly. Thinking this, when you are making something, making a task, maybe developing something, you need to follow steps. You need to break down your tasks into smaller steps. For example, if I want to deploy something, maybe I need to ask me, which are the correct steps to do this? Well, in the same case, you can use these prompts to tell the model which needs to be the correct steps to successfully accomplish a task. For example, in LangChain, we can work with different pre-built models. They have an agent that can search information in Google, so you can build a model that search for something in Google and will be sure that that the model is saying is current, is current information, is actual. Because as you know, maybe you don't, maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but ChatGPT just have information up to September 2021. So it doesn't have current information. If you want ChatGPT to have current information, you have, or maybe information about your company, maybe information about you can add that information manually using, for example, Google search. You can build a model that searches in Google and uses this information, build a proper answer based on your requirements. LangChain also provides us with different models, models, for example, to ask mathematical questions. So you can ask the model, okay, tell me, let me see if we can reproduce this because it is so powerful and so
Yeah,
interesting.
because you do have a couple questions in the chat, but just to tag on to what you were saying, it sounds like you're almost building your own SEO. Like, in order to have someone find out information about me, like for example, if I said, "Oh, tell me more about Loretta Thompson," and if I put all this stuff out there, I build my own, several websites, or put myself out there into several, bloggers or whatnot, and it would be like, Loretta Thompson is an amazing is an amazing front end designer. Like, she does amazing UX UI work. Then that would come up. That's what it almost sounds like. It's like I'm almost making my own. I don't want to say a propaganda machine. I'll say it's my own publicist is out there.
Yeah, yeah. I think LLMs are a powerful tool we need to use carefully because also we can get bad results. For example, you can't just trust in what ChatGPT tells you because it can be incorrect and you can have mistakes based on the information. You need to make sure that your information is what are you getting. And someone asked about is what is being referred to as prompt engineering. And yeah, prompt engineering, it's like a new field that you can work with. Even I work with prompt engineering every time. What is prompt engineering? Basically, when you have a prompt, you want to get a correct result. Prompt engineering basically involves the aspects you need to follow to develop a good prompt. For example, if you want a SQL query, you need to add the necessary information in your prompt and maybe ask the model to give you the answer in a certain response. For example, suppose I want to get just a small line in my prompt. Let me change this prompt. I will use another prompt. Maybe, how can we do? Maybe I want to template extract SQL query. Perfect. This is a powerful template, because extracting SQL queries would be so useful in many use cases. And in this moment, there are a lot of companies working with this kind of prompts, with this kind of models to extract SQL queries and apply it in many different data applications. For example, we will build our own SQL query extractor. Okay. You will receive user requirement about a SQL query. You need to provide the correct SQL query to answer user question. To accomplish this task, you need to follow the following steps. First, think about which are the correct table to use based in the user requirement. In this case, like we don't have a real database, I will let the ChatGPT to invent it, to just put whatever it wants, because I just want the SQL query. You can feel free to think in a okay. Think about which should be the correct columns that satisfies the user requirement, and give the correct SQL query in the next format. SQL query or SQL start phrases inside backticks are comments for you to accomplish your task successfully. People start. Here you need to put correct SQL query that can maybe satisfy the user question. And SQL end. Perfect. We don't have variables here. We just need to ask something. Okay, this will take the template extract SQL query. Okay, and the human template will be user requirement just. Okay, perfect. Okay, we don't need this more, just need the user requirement. Well, this will be here maybe. Perfect. And here we'll just take the user requirement. Perfect. I think that's all. We have the prompt to get the SQL query, and we have the user requirement here. Please enter your requirement. Perfect. Okay, let's check. Let me run this. I'm not in the current, now. Perfect. I'm the DMB, okay. Okay, let's run it. Python main.py. Requirement. I want to know which are the current users in my application. No, I want a list of 10. I want a list of 10 users of the first and users based in a date time field named user based users in our database. The database could be maybe a table users in our table users, usually table users, and order the users by the created at field. I think it could work. And see what happens. It thinks about a table, thinks about columns, and after that, it provides the SQL query. This prompt is better than just saying, give me a SQL query, because you are letting the model to think about its answer. And after that, you can extract the SQL query. For example, I will ask ChatGPT to build a function to extract this text, okay? Okay, this is something I can do in reality in my current work. I will use GPT 3.5. Write a function to extract the text between the tags SQL start and SQL end in Python, and we'll type it because we need to follow good practices. Let's see what happens. Certainly, okay, we have now the function. I will just copy paste this function and I will paste it here, and I will change a little my program. Now the response, I want just to print the prompt, the response. I will to extract the SQL query, and the SQL query will be extract SQL query from the response, and I want to print now. After that, also write a function to print a text in red. I just wanted to look more cool. Okay, I have the function here. Perfect. And as you can see, I am using ChatGPT to build an application. I don't even thinking in how to build this function. I'm just thinking in a function that needs to make something. Okay. I have here the print in red function, and I will print the SQL query. Perfect. Let's see what happens. And I will paste the same question, the same requirement. See, as you can see, we can extract information of this prompt. The agent can think, the agent can figure it out which is the correct answer, and using tags, we can extract the information we want. I don't need to even make anything else. I just need to use this query to search in my database and I can get an information. Maybe shows that information to the user. So as you can see, the prompt engineering is more related to accomplish a task to the LLM. You need to write a good prompt. And how to write a good prompt? Writing good instructions of how to develop a task, of how to do something. In this case, I'm instructing using a one-shot prompt, just a one-shot example is called. Well, it doesn't have an example even, but it has a pretty well-structured prompt. So you can exactly know which will be the chatbot, the LLM response. You need to figure it out which will be the response. So it is perfect if you use structures. There is like a principle of prompt engineering. You need to write good instructions that you can understand and add maybe tags, maybe words that you can easily later extract the information that you need. In this case, I need a SQL query. In different cases, I will need maybe a sentiment, maybe I will need a summary, something like that. So prompt engineering is more related to uh, how to write instructions. It's just like that. You need to write instructions as you are instructing somebody that doesn't know anything specific. Well, it knows a lot of things. You need to tell how to use that things that the model knows. ChatGPT knows a lot of SQL, knows a lot of extracting information about text. So you can ask ChatGPT to use this in your favor. So yes, this is prompt engineering. I expect this is clear. Maybe it is another question. Will it teach what you just taught us? Or maybe you're referring to for geeks? Mm, I don't really understand complete the question. If you are asking me if for geeks will teach you about these topics, I think yes. I don't. I am not part of the mentoring team, but I will try that all the information will be in place. I know that for geeks can make good. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah. This will be related in the 4 Geeks course about artificial intelligence and machine learning because maybe you won't need to understand how to develop a complete neural network that you maybe will. I don't know if 4Geeks is pretending to include how to develop neural networks. There is a different topic, not completely related to natural language processing, but you can build your own neurons. You can build your own model. Maybe you want a model to make a task perfectly. So you can search a lot of data, for example, pictures, and you can develop a model that can work with that data and infer and predict something based in that data. For example, another powerful model that exists in these days is Midjourney. Midjourney uses prompts to generate an image like this. You can build a good prompt and obtain a pretty good image based in prompts. This model was trained with images. This is a different kind of model, different than natural language processing, but it works in a similar way. ChatGPT works with text, Midjourney works with text, and the output is images. Different model work with speech to text, text to speech, and you can build your own model using, for example, TensorFlow. TensorFlow, it's a powerful library to create models based in neurons, based in neuronal networks. I suggest you to reach out what is TensorFlow, and I think for this is already taken in consideration include TensorFlow in their topics about machine learning because machine learning is a pretty huge field. not just involving natural language processing, it involves mathematics because these models work with mathematics. Basically, it is just statistics. The model thinks, well, which is the more probably answer to this question? And based in that simple use case, they can provide us a good answer. After that, we can train the model to tell if the answer was good or bad. We can tell, okay, your answer was bad, and the model starts to maybe evolve itself to adjust its weights and biases to answer you the question properly. So this is a pretty judge field in development. Machine learning is a pretty judge field. I don't think we can have just a single course. Maybe it will be more like a bunch, maybe 2 or 3 courses for specific topics. For example, how to build a neuronal network, if you want to learn about that, how to build something more related to LLMs using LangChain. I think maybe it can be in the same course, I don't know, but yeah, it needs to be covered. So answering your questions, I think yes, for geeks will take my consideration. I will really suggest for geeks to talk about these topics because I think it's extremely important to know how this works in order to understand how to build applications on top of LLMs. And you can keep this in mind. There is a lot of works now around the artificial intelligence and LangChain and OpenAI. You can see that everybody is now integrating applications with LLMs in their web pages, in their telephones, in their use cases. So, for example, Canvas now integrate artificial intelligence. This presentation of here, I did it with artificial intelligence. I just write a good brief of my workshop, and an artificial intelligence done this presentation for me. I just later add a little color here and fix if something is bad. But you can build an application like this using natural language processing, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and it's not completely difficult. I really suggest you again reading the LangChain documentation, and if you want to be instructed in a more proper way, you can reach out the courses of 4Geeks about LLMs and machine learning, and I'll really ensure that you will learn something if you want. I was a student of 4Geeks Academy from the last year, maybe from April to August, something like that. No, from June to November, yeah, from June to November, and I get my first job at January with 4Geeks. After that, in May, I get a second job, and I was working with different projects. So if you want to learn, if you want to work with LLMs, or you can develop a new tool or something like that, I suggest you to join 4Geeks courses, and I assure you that you will learn something. Well, if you have a question, another question, just feel free to ask me.
Well,
Remember, if you want to get, okay, sorry,
Oh, no,
continue,
go ahead.
Lorena.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Go
okay,
ahead. I didn't want to cut you
sorry.
off. Go ahead.
I just want to say, if you want to learn something else, I will start to make YouTube videos about LangChain. Maybe in a few weeks, you can reach me out on LinkedIn, and you can find more information about me in GitHub. You can see more projects, something like that. Well, I think that's all for me. If you have further questions, feel free to reach me in LinkedIn or in GitHub or my email like you want, and I will be there. I really like to teach people.
Well,
Oh, this is the feed.
I definitely learned a lot. I'm speaking on behalf of everyone else here. This was just amazing and definitely a lot of food for thought of what we can do, incorporating AI on ChatGPT in our projects. I did want to remind everyone, if you're interested in learning more about the courses, to please click on the link that I posted above. It does say the 4 Geeks Academy. That was the / to apply, but then that way that actually links you up with our admissions team, and then they can get in depth and more. They will get more details about the different courses that we have available with the data science learning. And I did want to remind everyone, if you are in the South Florida area, if you are in the Miami area in particularly, I did want to remind everyone, we do have a Women in Tech panel that's open to everyone. You don't have to be a woman, but it's a Women in Tech panel, Breaking Barriers, Inspiring Success. We're going to have that in person at the Brickell campus this Thursday, June 29th, starting at 6 p.m. And then also online this Friday, if you want to get a sample of what our general coding bootcamp, what you can end up creating. We do have our final projects presentation for 2 of the cohorts that are going to be graduating. And part of the graduation process is that you do have to create a group project with some of your classmates and then present it. So it's almost like a Shark Tank style, where you present. There's like they get into why they created what they did, and then people can ask questions. So that is going to be this Friday, June the 30th as well. And you can find that information on our website as well. And of course, we do have a number of online workshops that are available both in English and in Spanish, and it encompasses a whole series of different things that you can add to your portfolio, or if you're just putting your toes into the water in terms of software development. So I know that in the chat we have some thanks to Charlie, that this was awesome. I totally agree that this
Thank you,
was.
Sharon.
So just remember, this will be posted onto our 4Geeks YouTube channel. So just give it a couple days. They do need to process these things, but it will be posted there. So if there's anything, as you're going through it yourself, if you have questions, definitely Charlie has so generously said that he is open and available for those. So, and Jack says, great lesson. Looking forward to the next one. I am too as well. So it's going to be
You
awesome.
can.
So.
Sorry for interrupt you. You can
No, of
follow
course.
me in YouTube. I will start giving lessons about how to use LangChain, because I think there is not a lot of information still, and I think this is super interesting, and you can build different kind of powerful applications. So I want to be there and explain you how to build your own applications. You can reach me out on YouTube. Welcome. In this moment, I don't have videos in English, but they are coming maybe soonly. I just have videos in Spanish, but you can press the subtitles and it will automatically generate.
Yes, I was going to say that is a very excellent tip, and also too, you got a comment from Edwin too, saying very nice presentation. Can't wait for those LangChain videos. So no pressure on that, but definitely, please make sure you have that. So if there's no other questions, I guess we're going to wrap up. So thank you so much, everyone. On behalf of 4Geeks Academy, thank you so much for spending time with us, and we look forward to the next session.
Yeah, thanks to everyone. So goodbye. That's all. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.